This interactive session begins now. Please welcome our facilitator, Harrison Thompson.
Y'all doing okay this morning? I just gotta tell y'all, man, I had such an awesome time yesterday. And it was so fitting that we were talking about our stories yesterday because it was you guys' stories that actually gave me inspiration. And so while a lot of you may be thanking me for the things that I have said to you yesterday, I thank you for the things that you have also said to me yesterday. And that's the interesting part about life. There's always a lesson to be learned. But sometimes we have impediments to learning those lessons, whether it's judging a book by its cover, whether it's walking into a situation with a preconditioned idea. And we're all susceptible to this because we're human beings. Pay attention to that second word, being. It means we're always in a state of being something. Some days we wake up and we're not motivated. Some days we wake up and we're angry and we just don't know why. Some days we wake up and we're just joyful. We're human beings. And so yesterday I talked about emerging successfully in life and how my story played into that. And so today I kind of want to give you guys some more specific tips. I hope I'm not going to be too much of a therapist today, but I just want to give you guys about 4 things that I have come to understand to be some key things that we need for successful relationships in life and between one another. Okay? So, building a good relationship, there are 4 points that I want you guys to understand. The first one is purposeful communication. Now, how often do we hear people talk about communication? We hear it being the foundation for every single relationship. It's the reason why we break up. It's the reason why we express ourselves to one another. Communication is very essential. But a lot of times, if we don't understand how to purposefully communicate, we lose contact with that person. The second key is right understanding. Right understanding is the ability to respect and appreciate others. Isn't that something? How many times do we walk into particular situations and because we don't have right understanding, we have misunderstanding? The third point is giving up judgments, releasing negative connotations of ourselves and the person we are with or want to be with. We're all susceptible to life, like I said, and sometimes our childhood hurts, our personal hurts can sometimes spill over into our other relationships. And if we're not careful, these are going to be some of the things that causes us to not have the happy relationships that we want. And the last point is accepting responsibility. We all have to take responsibility for where we are in life. Yes, I understand that there may be some people in this room that may be a little bit scornful or a bit resentful as to what has happened to them in their past, but understand that it's not what happens to you, it's what you choose to do with what happens to you. Because the same thing that may break a person down can actually be the foundation of a person's empire. And so, as Delano just so beautifully said, you have to see things with your mind. So, let's talk about communication, guys. How often do we hear this word thrown around? Quite a bit, right? Intimacy thrives on the communication of truth. But how many times do we get angry? And we use that communication tool and we turn that into a tool of control instead of communicating emotions. And so it kind of looks something like this. Baby, I specifically remembered yesterday telling you not to leave your shoes at the door. Are you stupid? And so me hearing that, I get very defensive and I'm like, who you calling stupid? And so all of a sudden now, we're talking, but we're not communicating. Now, the average human being says we communicate all the time. As soon as he comes through the door, I let that man know exactly what he's doing wrong, and I ain't got no problem communicating. But what are you actually saying to him? And see, understand that if we're not communicating to convey emotion, then we're not communicating at all. When we communicate to intimidate, to find hurt, and to find fault, we are abusing communication. Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. No, that's all right, go sit down in the corner. No, see, I wouldn't say anything to you because you just don't understand. But what we're really trying to say is, help me, I'm scared. I've been hurt before, and so it's not easy for me to open up. But see, if we would be true with ourselves, we'd understand that we're not really communicating, we're abusing it. Okay? So the second thing is right understanding. Communication on its own is not enough. It's only a vehicle used to facilitate it. Purposeful communication is necessary for right understanding, but if that understanding is misunderstanding, then the relationship has an infection. So how many times do we place our own personal experiences on others? We say that the meaning I give this particular situation is the correct meaning simply because I believe it to be correct. And so because I see a person with a scar on her face sitting in the corner, I automatically say, oh no, that's a bad person, I don't want to talk to her. But truth be told, I don't know the story as to what's leading to that in the first place. And so folks, sometimes in our lives we have to understand that we're not always right, even though we feel convicted on that right. And that was one of the biggest obstacles I had as a therapist. A lot of times the situations or the things that people came to me with, I already had convictions about them. And so when people would say, oh, Mr. Thompson, that's not what I believe, or oh, Mr. Thompson, I don't think that's right, I would get offended. How could you not see this is not right? But folks, we have to understand that sometimes these are the very same things that stops us from being open with people and for people to trust us. It's not the meaning we place on it, it's the understanding. So I want to talk about levels of understanding here, because there are a lot of different types of understanding. The understanding that not all help is good help. I remember there was this one time I broke down on the side, well, I didn't break down. I ran out of gas on the side of the road. And so, you know, living in Nassau, Bahamas, I really didn't expect anybody to come and stop and help. And so I only have about $2 on my phone. I'm trying to call all of my friends and my family members to see if anybody has a gas container to come and help put gas in my car. So I called my boy, didn't pick up. I called my cousin, he gave me some excuse about, oh, you know, I out west right now, and I know what that means. And so I said to myself, wow, what am I going to do? So out of the blue, a stranger stops. He pulls over and he says, hey, what's up, brother? You break down. I say, no, man, I just need some gas. Pop the hood. I only need some gas. I don't know why you need to pop the hood. The tank is on the side of the car. So, you know, if we could just go down to the gas station, that'll be awesome. No, man, pop the hood, man. I got to check under there. And I'm like, okay, so this guy's really not getting it. I'm not broken down. I just need gas. And so this gentleman starts to get upset. He says, you see, y'all stinking Bahamians, y'all don't know how to get help when people giving it to you. Flip me off, curse me out, and he sped off. And I said, oh my God, I only needed gas. And how many times do we think that the help we're giving people is what they need? How many times when that man, ladies, in your life isn't really doing the things you want him to do? And so you try to give him help, but you push him further away. Men, how many times do we talk to the women in our lives? And sometimes we think we're giving them the solutions they think they need, but we push them further away. And so we have to be very aware of ourselves. We have to have a deeper understanding of ourselves. What drives us to feel the way we feel, do what it is we do, and believe what it is we believe. The third thing is giving up judgments. Giving up negative judgments of ourselves and of other people. This is hard to do because we have this greater than thou sense sometimes, like, I'm always better than you. See, you all are more wrong than me. I am more justified in doing what I'm doing because I'm me. One of the things I hear a lot with my court clients is that, Mr. Thompson, I know why I smoke. I know you see a lot of different people that smoke because they got stress at home or because they got bills to pay. But see, I'm different. I only smoke 3 times a day. And see, Mr. Thompson, let me tell you how I know I'm different. I could put that down whenever I want. I am so good at quitting, I quit 8 times this year. So you picked it back up 8 times this year. And so how real are we with ourselves sometimes? Are we really that much better off? Are we really more justified in our excuse than that excuse? And we got to level, because we're not. Sorry to break it to you. Yeah, you're late because of traffic. We all live in Nassau. Oh, your current went off? Yeah, mine too. I ironed last night. And so you understand that when we start to use these kinds of excuses, we always do it thinking, I'm a little bit more justified than you. But it's not so. So when we become able to understand differences and properly communicate feelings and desires, we can begin to let go of negative emotion. The more you appreciate others, the more you appreciate yourself. And like I said yesterday, we have a bad habit of looking at different as being wrong instead of it being celebrated. My wife, I've been married to her now for 1 year, dating her for 8 years, the first 3 of which were long distance. When she was in Greece studying that Greek language, I was getting tossed around on the floor in Texas playing football. So you understand communication was very powerful for us at that particular point in time. And so what did that mean for that relationship, being so far apart? I understood very well that she thought so much differently than me. When I thought I was sacrificing time, she didn't. When I thought I was doing something right, all the time I wasn't. And it was because I never accepted her for who she was. And so until I did, the relationship never grew. And how many times, if we can be honest with one another here, do we secretly try to change people? We say, yeah, that man, okay, I could get him. I could tame him. Or that woman, yeah, I could change her. She's a little saint now, but I could turn her out. I used to be like that when I was young. I'm not gonna lie. But we all have this idea that we can change people. And so if we don't resolve within ourselves that it's not about changing that person, it's about accepting them for who they are, right where they are, we can never experience true happiness in our life. Parents, how many times do you try to manipulate and mold your young children into what it is you think they should be? But on the right hand, you secretly snub their creative fire because you're forcing them into a tunnel which they do not fit into. Sometimes it's scary. You're very much aware of the situations that are going on in this country. You hear the stories from your friends at work. You see the stories on the news. Social media is ablaze. I understand you want to protect. I understand that you want to make sure you can guide your children as they need to be guided, but understand sometimes you got to let these young children breathe. If they are not able to expand their wings, they're going to resent you. But you have to understand that this is a separate human being from me, not just my child. And so you have an obligation to make sure that you accept that child for who they are so that they can be all God has them to be. And so the last point is accepting responsibility. We cannot accept responsibility in a relationship until we hold each other equally accountable. This sounds a lot like a victim. Victims feel as though they are powerless to change their situations. Victims feel like what's happening to me is never a result of me. It's just the world. It's just bad luck. It's just bad karma. Victims feel powerless to create change. Isn't that something? Do you ever sometimes wake up and you just feel so powerless against a particular situation? You don't know what it is, but it's like no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you just can't seem to get this thing right. Never ever feel as though you are a victim. They fail to see that the situations that they encounter could have had a different result if they handled it differently. We never seem to look at the situation in terms of how I responded to it. We always look at the situation in terms of what it was and what it did to me. Sometimes it's not just that bad person. Sometimes it's your provoking nature. I got this issue with a lot of women that come to see me. They seem to have problems with their friends and other females in general. I don't know what it is. She walks up into a room and automatically she can tell me every single woman in that room hates her. And she don't know why. And okay, that's interesting. You don't know these women, but you know they hate you. Yes, Mr. Thompson, you should see how they look at me when I walk up into the place and I'm just loving me. And so this lady doesn't see that the way your face twists right up, because you look like you were sucking on a lime, that doesn't present well when you walk into a room. Scouts think I got time to play with them, okay. Yeah, Mr. Thompson, I don't say nothing to them but your energy, but your vibe, but the negative emotions that you bring in there about every other woman besides yourself is what causes that very same hate to be placed on your front doorstep. Guys, the same thing can be said for us. A lot of times we think we big and we mighty and we got it all together. But we don't understand that it's that very same position that brings a lot of problems to us. And so we have to level with ourselves and be real. You know, and I want to jump back to an earlier point when I talked about right understanding. Because there was a time when I went to a restaurant with my wife. It was over Paradise Island. I don't know if any of you guys have been to Murray's. Food's pretty good. I ordered a steak. My wife ordered some kind of wrap. And so normally, you know, dinner proceeds, we talk, we get our sodas, we get the appetizers, but we're starting to get a little bit long for that dinner to come out. And so, you know, I politely called to the waiter. I'm like, sir, do you know how much longer it's going to be for our food? Getting kind of hungry. And he says, sir, I'll go and check on that and I'll be right back. So I said, okay, fine. Begin talking with my wife again, things are good. I look at my watch, 10 more minutes. Now, I'm a big dude. When I get hungry, I get quiet. So the conversation with my wife started to plummet, and she knows what that means. So I look at the couple who were to our left, who came in after us, and they're bringing out their food. And so I'm looking at my table, and all I have is a watered-down Coke soda. I'm getting upset. And so it's no longer, excuse me, sir, can I talk to you? It's, big man. Let me see you for a sec. And so when he came over, he could see that I was visibly upset. And so I said, you need to tell me why these people who came in after us, they got their food before we do. All I got is a watered down Coke soda. And I need to see your manager. So can you go and bring him back so I can tell him the same story? And so I'm upset. I'm hulking out right now. I'm sweating around my neck. Pit stains starting to get a bit bigger. I am hungry. I want my food. So the guy comes out and he says, Mr. Thompson, I am so sorry. But you need to understand that there's a table in the back there with about 20 people on it. Their orders are going to the same kitchen that your steak is going to. These people's orders went to a different kitchen that's not as crowded as the one yours went to. And so from that point of right understanding, it diffused all of my emotions. Until that point, I wasn't communicating to understand. I was communicating to control the situation. I am hungry. Get me my food. Hug smash. And so, folks, we got to level with ourselves. We have to be real with one another. We have to understand that in order to be successful at emerging in life and in relationships, we have to become whole people. It is our duty and it is our obligation. So I hope that you could have gotten something from that message. Thank you.